It's time for some dots. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking around, and thank you to everyone else that's just tuning in. We're watching It's Just a Frank Bro versus Xtremist Dota. Frank on the Radiant side have just managed to secure their spot in this grand final. Xtremist Dota 2, they've had a bit of a breather after taking a 2-0 victory over YNW to find themselves here. Very stark differences in both teams' playstyles, and I'm really curious to see who comes out ahead. Xtremist Dota 2, they're a team that's shown an amazing ability to come back from sticky situations and an uncanny ability to dominate the early phase of the game. Frank, from what I saw last game, they're a team that really knows their hero, and they've got extremely good synergy among their ranks. Some of the coordination between their Vengeful and their Darks here, a swap into an instant Hex on a Gyrocopter with a BKB and a Rapier. That requires some next level of coordination and communication to pull off, and Frank has shown that they've got the ability to do so. As far as the draft goes, you've got Doombringer along with the Queen of Pain getting banned out, with the Void getting third banned. So we're not going to see any H-God Void here. Surprisingly enough, Xtremists didn't opt to pick up the Void in their first phase. So they probably figured that Frank has figured them out, which is why they'll try something different. And they've gone with the first phase Mirana. Bane and Tusk as the first two for Frank. This should be an off-lane Tusk, maybe in a dual lane setup, or it could even be two supports with the Tusk and the Bane. Whereas Xtremist, I'm assuming this is a roaming Mirana. I really do like Mirana after the latest patch. The increase on her range, along with the change to the arrow that allows her to farm NCs and Ancients. A strat that has pissed off many powers, courtesy Leaf Eater. But yeah, I do like the changes to Mirana. The few games that I have played on this patch on 6.86, I've actually tried goofing around with a mid Mirana, and when you have something wacky like a Tiny or any other melee hero for that matter coming against you, she just decimates them with the increased range. So the Wisp will be the third pick. You've got a Brood Mother and a Night Stalker getting banned out, while Frank's opted to ban out the Void, H-God's Void rather, along with that Beastmaster. So are we looking at another Nature's Prophet pickup here for Xtremist, or specifically for H-God? They did this the last time around with a global teleportation oriented lineup, with the Wisp TPing in with the Relocate and then NP TPing in with his skill. But Tiny is going to get denied here, as Frank will pick it up for themselves. And they'll probably run this as a mid-dual lane with the Tiny and the Bane. That's my best guess, at least. There's the Gyro as the fourth pickup from Xtremist. So standard draft so far, just the Mirana, the outlier in this lineup from Xtremist Dota 2. So they've got plenty of team fight potential, they've got lane dominance, they've got ganking potential with the Mirana, and now they've even got late game security with the Gyrocopter. I think H-God is, well, the last pick is for H-God. His hero is still pending unless it's an off-lane Mirana. Whereas Frank, two more picks on the board. They're possibly looking for another support and an off-laner, or a support and a middle laner, or a support and a one positioner. Now I've just said everything, haven't I? But fourth pick, what do they really go for here? The Dazzle is still in the pool. If they want to go for that Slardar Tusk dual lane, they could go for it, but they'll pick the Oracle instead. No Disruptor pick coming out either. While Meepo is going to be the last ban from Xtremist, so something new being banned out here. Well, Frank's got the last ban on the board, followed by one more pick. I'm wondering what they're going to remove here. They're still so Extremist. I'm willing to bet that this is a support Mirana, a support roaming Mirana. In which case, yeah, they were going for the offlaner. The axe gets picked up as the final pick from Xtremist Dota. And what's really noteworthy here is that Xtremist Dota has not even so much as touched their reserve time. They've still got a full 1 minute and 50 seconds on it. Frank, however, they've really put a lot of thought behind their draft. The last pick now, they'll have about 6 seconds of reserve time to take a decision. But they're still looking for... Well, they've got their supports now in order, so it's possibly a 1 position or a 2 position that they need. Vengeful Spirit, still an option, but oh, they'll go with the Terrorblade. So, I mean, we thought people were hiding strats up until the semi-finals, but clearly, Frank and Xtremist both have more up their sleeves as they enter the first game of this best of 3 grand final. Thank you for tuning in, guys, and thank you for sticking around. It's been an absolute pleasure casting... Oops, wrong overlay. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure casting for you throughout the day. And while my voice is about to give up on me, I will do my best to deliver plenty of entertainment for you guys. So Frank on the Dire side and Xtremist on the Radiant. You've got Oheb handling that Mirana, so he will be on the support role. Matt will be handling the Wisp. H-God on the Axe. You've got QZ handling the Gyrocopter and Siki on that Invoker. Meanwhile, for Frank, Minerva will be playing that Bane. You've got Abed handling the Tiny, Boccarino on the Tusk. Zaza on the Terrorblade. He played the PA last game and he's going to show us some of his Terrorblade shenanigans. And lastly, we're going to have I absolutely cannot remember what Godot is playing this game. Oracle, yes, Oracle is going to be Godot's hero. Calling Blade does go through the false promise, if I'm not mistaken. So as long as they've got vision on the hero that's been hit by the false promise, Axe shouldn't have a problem cleaning up. I'm not 100% sure on that mechanic though, so we'll learn it as we move along in this game. Invoker, starting with the Null and 2 Tangos pulled to him, while Tiny is actually getting 2 Tangos pulled to him as well. Godot, he's got a Fairy Fire in addition to the wards and some consumables. Terrorblade starts off with the Stout Shield, expecting a difficult lane here. He's going to be up against the Axe, and as threatening as Terrorblade is with the Metamorphosis, he's as much of a wimp without it when he's facing off versus the Axe. Arguably the manliest of all heroes in Dota 2 today. Boccarino's heading towards the off lane, and it looks like he might be left to his own devices here. With the duel on the middle lane and the dual lane at top, there's no supports to spare for Boccarino in this bottom lane. Ice shots casually thrown out here just to piss off Siki, but the bounty rune will be secured. Both the middle laners getting it for themselves. Kind of surprising that they opted not to give to Mad on the Wisp, which would have meant an instant bottle. Instead, you have Invoker picking it up. But alright, it looks like Mad is not going to be going towards the middle lane. There'll be a Gyro and a Wisp at bottom, with an Invoker at mid and a roaming Mirana who started off with that Sacred Arrow. Even if they do connect an arrow here, I don't think they can find a kill. Oh, almost on the slope. Minerva comes in, gets the Brain Sap, but takes his fair share of auto attacks into his backside before moving back up. No early first bloods. Caution being displayed by both sides again. QZ, he started off with a Ring of Protection and a Circlet, which he can convert into a Ring of Aquila from the side shop here. You've got initiation at mid, the toss back onto the Invoker. He's going all the way back. The arrow connects on Minerva as Seeky's like, screw this, I'm going to try and get myself killed. He does go down to the tower, so that's first blood. I don't know if first blood really counts, but the gold has been split. The courier even came in there, kind of surprising that the Invoker didn't turn on the courier. Just a lapse of concentration, I would assume, but a good play from Frank to open up the scoreboard in their favor. But yeah, I feel like this roaming Mirana rather, gets a lot more effective towards the middle lane once the Invoker gets a few more levels. And they're probably going to need another setup coming in to help out. Bocarino's in the river though, and H-God and Mad are giving chase. In fact, why on earth is H-God here in the first place? He was at the top lane. But either way, Bocarino's going to survive for now. Axe, yeah, I guess he just rotated into the jungle, realizing that there's not much he could have done in this top lane. Especially with the Fortune's End and the Metamorphosis, that's more than enough to bring down the Axe, I believe, with a few Purifying Flame spams as well. Mid, there's the Nightmare setup once again, the toss back, they're just playing basketball with his body now. Siki, he's been thrown back, but the Ghost Walk allows him to get away. Just not enough damage coming out from Abed and Minerva at this point. Siki again put to sleep. Abed's got a toss available. He's throwing him back. The question is, does Siki have a Ghost Walk? Not for 8 seconds. Another auto attack from the Tiny and the Bane, each are needed to secure this kill. There's the one from the Tiny, but the Bane's not getting in. The Courier getting a little ballsy as well as he comes out. Abed walks forward. One more punch. He's not one punch man. He needs two, but he does get the job done on Invoker. While Bane somehow manages to escape the jaws of death, courtesy H-God. Meanwhile, Terrorblade expends the Metamorphosis at top to try and pressure this tier 1 tower and to push this lane as fast as he can, along with Godot at his back. They should get significant amounts of damage done, but they shouldn't be able to take down the tower. Mirana's coming in with the leap, so she should be able to pull the creep equilibrium back. Arrow's gonna fly and it'll connect on Godot as well. Significant amounts of damage dealt to him, which should be another deterrent to slow down this push. You've got 28 CS on the Terrorblade now. He is leading the farm charts. The net worth, however, that top spot's been taken by Albed on his Tiny with 1 kill, 1 assist and 24 CS to his name. It's going to be an absurdly quick blink tagger if nothing is done to slow him down. Meanwhile, QZ continues to farm at bottom. He's going past the tier 1 tower now. Needs to be careful. There's always an opportunity for Frank to TP rotate in with the Tusk stuns and disables to lock him in and finish him off. Bocarino's actually got the creep equilibrium coming towards his tower. There's an observer ward in the jungle to watch for pulls and to move into Leech EXP as well. That's going to allow him to pretty much control the pace of this lane efficiently. Axe, however, it's a different story for him. He does have to move into the jungle, and honestly, it is the more efficient move for him to be in the jungle rather than to stick around in this top lane and contest a Terrorblade. A quick blink dagger on the Axe could be devastating for Frank. But quick is a very relative term here, since he's been left straight in the jungle from the get-go, and he is at level 5. Middle lane though, there's a dust this time on to Siki. Abed's got a toss, he's gonna do it just on the spot itself this time, not throwing him back. They'll finish the job under the tier 1 tower. Bocarino comes in, H-God is in trouble, he's really low on HP, but the spins are there, the tower auto attacks as well, the toss is there from the Tiny, but the heals kept H-God hale and hearty through that onslaught. But it's still 3-0, Frank have taken the lead, and they're looking comfortable in this early game phase. A 750 net worth lead going their way, with about 400 EXP tilted in their favor. Uncontested farm for the Terrorblade, who's been applying a lot of pressure in this top lane. And the middle lane, well, there's no sugarcoating it. It has been lost by Xtremist. 3 deaths on the Invoker, with 2 kills on the Wisp and the Tiny. Or rather, the Bane and the Tiny. Quick look at the net worth chart. Yep, it is 2 Dire heroes, or rather 2 Dire cores leading the charts there. 3,500 and 3,300 respectively for the Tiny and the Terrorblade. I'll bet he's gonna have a sub 10-minute blink dagger this game, which is really a nightmare for the Wisp and the Mirana. Shoot arrow, miss arrow. That one just skims straight under Bocarino's sleeve. You see 3 heroes now grouping up for Xtremist at this bottom lane. Without the lockdown from Mirana's arrow, they've got nothing at this point. So Tusk is gonna do his bit to slow down the push on this tier 1 tower, but there's nothing that Xtremist can do to stop Terrorblade and Oracle. Not to mention Bane as well, taking down this tier 1 at top. The money doesn't go into the Terrorblade's hands, but that's okay. He is still doing really well in terms of farm, and with that tower takedown, that's a blink and a smoke picked up by Abed.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
$1,700 gold on the Terrorblade now. He's built. I'm really not sure what a Terrorblade builds at this point. I'm assuming that Sanjin Yasha would be his go-to item, but bottom lane, Abed already putting his blink dagger on display with a kill on the gyrocopter. Just very crucial pickoffs coming in all across the map from Frank. They've decimated the Invoker, slowed down his growth in the early game phase, and now they've turned their focus towards the gyrocopter. The next best core on the side of Xtremist is the Axe, who's inching closer towards his own blink dagger. If Frank can actually find a kill on him before he gets this dagger online, I know it's a really tall ask and a rather impossible feat given that he's farming in the safe area of his jungle. That could be the end of Xtremist's early game. Got a TP from Godot at the middle lane. His smoke, however, is in the fountain, so they can't move out almost immediately. But not a single hero dares to come in front of our bed at this point. I heard a call from the Axe. That's almost the money for his blink dagger. And there it is. It's Xtremist's turn to start getting aggressive now. Unless they're gonna wait for the relocate to come online for the Wisp. Snowball in, along with the Walrus Punch. QZ is in trouble. Our bed blinks forward and they make quick work of him as well. There is defensive Moonlight Shadow drop, but it's a bit too late. The damage has been done and Gyro has hit the floor. Minerva, what's he been up to? He's almost got level 6 as well, just using the time on this middle lane to leech EXP while Tiny goes on the hunt. Now our bed's been scouted out by that tier 1 tower, and that's enough of a deterrent for Xtremist to say, never mind, we didn't need that tower anyway. Maybe not actually, because Axe is TP'd in. They do want to contest this. They want to show their own blink dagger and basically make a play on the back of it. Bocarino's left here by himself, and there's a TP coming in from the gyrocopter. But Bocarino will back away now, as the rest of Frank is in the enemy jungle looking for a pick off of their own. They're now drawing out the Invoker's movement, so they know which way he's headed and are probably going to look to cut him off. But Invoker, none the wiser, will TP towards the bottom lane, and now they want to move into the jungle and backstab Frank. devious plans being made by both teams. Invokers cancelled his TP, which means that he could still be
Is under attack.
caught off guard here. But middle tier 1, the fact that Frank is shown 4 of the heroes at mid opens up space for the Terrorblade to keep farming up top. He's got his Morbid Mask and a Yasha now, which allows him to stay in the jungle and jump faster from camp to camp. Mad almost has his Urn of Shadows now. A Sage's Mask away from it. But still no boots on the Wisp. Mobility is going to be a key factor, especially if he's to keep up with a Phase Boots Gyrocopter.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Minerva. He's got the Fiend's Grip available now, and that's Frank. They started to make some offensive maneuvers. You can see them grouping up towards this middle lane. That tier 1 tower, they're just whittling away at it bit by bit. But in the river, Bocorino gets caught out, putting Xtremist on the scoreboard for the first time this game. Abed comes in with his blink to return the favor on Mirana. With that haste rune, he'll scurry on out to safety as well. An eye for an eye, says Tiny. You take my Tusk, I take your Mirana.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
That middle tier 1 tower though, not long for life, especially if the Terrorblade decides to move in there. Missed another kill because Abed is at it again. Invoker's down and out for the count. A false promise along with Purifying Flames thrown on to the Tiny will secure his retreat and heal him up to a respectable amount of HP. Bottom lane, you've actually got to jump in from the axe. He does have a call, but it's a little too late. The stick charges keep the TB alive, but he goes down anyway. A crucial pick off here by H-God and Mad. The Wisp coming in to help him out, but for the most part it was just H-God flexing his muscles. No TP rotations coming in there to help out. They'll get a tier 1 tower on the back of this, but Bocorino once more, the snowball's there, but H-God has blinked away, leading Bocorino to his own demise. He's gonna die to the rocket barrage here. Maybe a few more auto attacks are needed. The one punch comes out, but it's not enough. Meanwhile at middle lane, Hebs managed to score a double kill as Tiny's mega kill streak has been taken away. The Oracle hits the deck as well. It's a 4-for-1 exchange. The Invoker once again committed upon at the middle lane, but this time Mirana was in the vicinity to punish it. The comeback is real. Xtremist slowly but surely pulling that graph back up towards their territory. 2000 EXP and 2000 net worth still in favor of Frank, but they've got to be feeling spooked after losing their Terrorblade as well as the rest of the heroes on different ends of the map. Pain's taking a beating. He's gonna go down next unless they can turn it around. Mirana with an ambitious leap forward gets taken out. There's the relocate in though, but Tiny's here to punish them as well. Wisp thrown into the air and a punch finishes him off as well, but QZ laying into Abed with the rocket barrage. Bocorino's there, the false promise thrown. H-God with the 2-hero call, another rocket barrage doing so much damage. The Cull slams Tusk to his death and Gorod's down and out for the count as H-God brings down the hammer.
Is under attack.
Another double kill. This axe blink dagger just being put to insane amounts of use here.
Is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower.
Abed has the double damage rune now, along with another 2600 gold in the bank. I'm assuming he's building towards an Aghanim Scepter as his next item. Bocarino, he's almost got that mechanism, a key tool that Frank's gonna need to take team fights up against Xtremist. You've got triple arcane boots on the side of Frank, one on Godot, one on Minerva, one on Bocarino. Double cloaks as well, so 2 glimmer capes gonna come online soon enough to deal with that gyrocopter and his magic damage output. Here we go, Frank looking to make a play of their own. Here comes a double damage Tiny with a Shadow Blade and invisibility cover. QZ, he's gonna get hit, and he's gonna get hit hard. Gyro almost out for the count, but the defensive relocate takes him up the slope. Axe is here and gets the kill on the Terror Blade, who can't do anything in this fight. Bocarino's on the run as well. The false promise keeps him alive, but Axe just moves forward. H-God slams the Oracle into oblivion. Another 3 for 0. 17 minutes in, it's at 11 for 10. Xtremists are just showing why they are truly deserving grand finalists here. Despite having an abysmal start, they're looking super good right now. Even objectives being claimed. The middle lane now has a clear freeway up to the high ground. All tier 1 towers, well, 2 tier 1 towers and 1 tier 2 tower have been taken down. Tiny attempting a kill on the Invoker, but this time he was unsuccessful as Wisp was in the vicinity to help heal him up. The top tier 1 though looks to be the next focus of Xtremist engagement. They're gonna get this one comfortably as well. They do have a fortification on Frank, but we're still not seeing the power of this Terror Blade. He hasn't managed to really be a factor. He's almost always getting dunked by the axe and finished off before he can dish out chunks of damage. But that's more than the Terror Blade's fault. I feel like that's just great plays being made by H-God.
Dire's top tower has fallen. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Bottom tier 1. Xtremist will not give it away for free. You've already got Seeky TPing in to slow things down. They've got a TP on pretty much everyone on the side of Xtremist, so they can move in to defend this at a moment's notice. Frank's got to be careful here. Abed is in the jungle, but their movements haven't been spotted out. There's no Radiant Observer wards watching the bottom lane or even the rush pit for that matter.
Is under attack.
A full-fledged commitment though is unnecessary at this point. QZ and Mad, they'll farm in a defensive spot in the enemy jungle, waiting for a relocate if needed. How's the Invoker's item progression? He's gone for the 4-staff and then he's building towards an Aghanim Scepter, I would believe. Top lane, you've got Gyro getting scouted by Abed. Avalanche toss, bringing him to possibly his death. What? The relocate out? Okay, looks like Fiend's Grip continues inside the fountain. Unless he cancelled it. Unless he didn't cancel it manually there. But this time I don't think the Wisp is going home for dinner. He's gonna try and make a run for it. He's still under cover of the Moonlight Shadow, but he delays the inevitable by just a bit as Bane comes in and saps his brains. Siki still farming and pushing out this bottom lane. Forces a rotation from the Tusk, who's now got a full mechanism online, but our bed's in the vicinity. They've got the arrow stun on him. They know where he is. H-God missing on the call by just a bit of a margin. As Abed's now been spotted out, even throws out a casual avalanche on his way out. Bocarino inching towards his next item. which I would assume is a blink dagger or maybe a BKB. Terrorblade, meanwhile, his Skadi is looking just over the horizon now. 2 ultimate orbs picked up, making him infinitely more tanky. You do have a smoke being deployed here again by Xtremist. They're moving in the jungle. H-God just has a ton of items at this point. He's at 8,200 net worth with a 4-staff, blink dagger and a vanguard. But they won't find anything on the back of this smoke because the entirety of Frank is towards the bottom side of the map, dewarding sentries as they go towards the tier 1 tower. Well, this tower is not going to be long for life. The question is, does Frank move back up top to defend their tier 2 or do they just continue to push out this lane? Because H-God is in a great position here. If Frank does decide to contest this, which thankfully they didn't, H-God would have just decimated them. We've got a 5-hero Moonlight coming through here now. They're all under cover of invisibility. The Moon Goddess watches over them as H-God jumps in. There's a 4-star bringing Bocarino closer to his death. And of course, Axe is ready with his axe to finish the job. QZ now chunking away at the tier 3. You've got the Tusk who has a buyback available if he wants to use it. Abed moving in, gets a punch in with the Shadow Blade. No, he doesn't. He chooses not to go in. Will they blink forward though? H-God decides to commit though. He's in and he's fighting his way through this. The Fiend's Grip holds him in position. Terrorblade has been hit with the false promise. The snowball comes through. Axe is about to lose his life. A few more auto attacks. The punch comes out from the Tusk, taking away the mega kill streak as Gyro goes down to the Tiny. 2-0. Abed still giving chase. Ditches on the Invoker. Decides that the Wisp might be a higher priority target. But the Wisp relocates out with the Invoker anyway. So it looks like Mad has been left for dead here. He'll come back into the loving arms of Frank and he'll probably leave the kill for... Nope, it's going to be the Tusk that gets it. So 3 heroes down, tier 3 tower stands. Frank doesn't really lose anything and they're back in this game. There's a full Skadi on that Terrorblade. He had it for the last fight and now they're going to look to get him an Aegis as well. Skadi, Lifesteal, Mobility and Immortality. A lethal combination indeed on a hero that hits harder than a train ramming into his opponents. Siki. He's almost built his Aghanim Scepter on this Invoker. Just about 500 gold, 400 gold away rather. Although he has just 1 point in the Vex, so I don't think it's going to be as efficient a pickup as he would have liked. Roshan doesn't get taken down, but Bocarino's hit with the stun. The call down lands square on in the middle of his forehead as Abed's been left for dead inside the pit as well. He drops a toss. The Culling Blade is there, but it's not enough to finish the job. Even Roshan's getting involved with a stomp. But Gyro secures the double kill and now they'll secure an Aegis on the side of Xtremist. Frank has made a mess out of this and they're gonna get punished for it. We're seeing a relocate coming out from Mad here. They're moving forward. Godot is in a world of trouble. The call holds him in position as Mirana, against all odds, gets the kill with an auto attack. Uh-oh, Frank's in a lot of trouble now because 33 seconds without the Oracle. There is a buyback on the Tiny, but he's getting closer to his Aghanim Scepter. He might not have to use it. They have a fortification. They'll use that for now. Terrorblade is up top. He does have a TP and he does have his Metamorphosis if they want to make one last stand here. But Minerva, he's going to go down before the fight begins. The Nightmare keeping him alive a little longer, but now he's out for 40 seconds. And Frank is going to take this fight 4 versus 5 as the tier 3 tower goes down. Tiny's moving in. Abed though, he's not been scouted out just yet. Arrow flies but doesn't connect. Flies straight past the Terrorblade, who's popped his Metamorphosis. You've got an Alacrity thrown onto the Gyrocopter. He's got an Aegis available, but he's gonna go down once. No, he isn't. He's still alive. The Tether's keeping him alive. The Sunder comes out from the Terrorblade, keeping him alive as well. But he looks like he's finally gonna take a fall. The Force Promise comes out from Godot. They'll focus the Oracle instead. A couple of hits and then they'll turn back to the Terrorblade. Not sure who they should focus. The Terrorblade will finally go down, and EMP is there in the middle of everything, but our Bed's trying to fight his way through this. A Cold Snap stops him in his tracks, as they'll get that kill as well. The melee Raxes have dropped. The range Raxes are next. Mirana's hit the deck, but there's buybacks from Frank that are not being put to the best use, as Xtremist TPs away and heads into her headlong retreat. Rax is destroyed. Frank's in a world of trouble now, and Xtremists are looking hella strong to take game 1. Well, H-God feeling a little bit left out. Wants an Aghanim Scepter of his own, as he starts off by picking up a point booster. Seiki does have his Aghanims online now, but he's still lacking in terms of levels. Either way, the reduced cooldown on Invoke, not something he'll be complaining about. I'm assuming the next item for this Invoker is the Scythe of Vice. He started off with his Ultimate Orb. Frank, how do they really come back from this though? They're going for a BKB on the Tiny, so the DPS, they're really going to rely on just the Terrorblade, who's picked up his Ogre Club next. I would assume he's going to make that into a BKB, but a Sanjin Yasha wouldn't be bad either. But they're going to have to fight at this top lane now. The Aegis no longer available in either of these heroes. I can't seem to remember who had picked it up the last time. I think it was the Gyrocopter. And that tier 3 tower is already... it's about to fall over and die on its own at this point. And there's no fortification to help sustain these blows from the Forge Spirits. Terrorblade just trying to be a nuisance by split pushing, but he's too slow at this point. Xtremist is going to see that he's out of position, and they'll just commit to this all through. Alacrity on the Forge Spirit again. The Frozen Sigil's been taken down. We've finally got the Terrorblade coming in. A blink in from H-God, but the call getting cancelled immediately. Not finding any targets. The melee Rax is destroyed here. QZ, he's been held up by the Fiend's Grip. Is the Oracle here to save him? He survives for now. The relocate was there defensively. I have no clue where they went, but they're back in the fight now. And QZ just makes a mess out of the rest of Frank. Terrorblade gets called down as well. This is it. Frank about to lose game 1, as they've been herded back into their fountain like cattle, with Godot, the only survivor, walking through an ice wall, which leads him to his death. That's mega creeps now. It's going to be mega creeps at least for Xtremist and Frank. There's no way for them to come back from this in game 1. There it is, the GG from Godot. They know that they can't come back from this, just using the time to strategize and regroup their thoughts for the next game. Let's hope they wipe the slate clean and come back with a good fight in game 2. They did show plenty of signs of life here, Frank, but Xtremist just showing that mid-game dominance that they've been banking on throughout this entire tournament. It's been a pleasure casting for you again, guys. I'll be right back with the next game of the day. That's going to be the second match of this grand final for the SEA Open Qualifiers. It's the Shanghai Majors for Dota 2, and you're watching ClouDx's stream on AFK Gaming Esports.